Hey everybody, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor from Water and Waste Digest, and I am here today with Rob Gledhill. He is the CEO and President of Blue White Industries. Thanks for being on the call.
Thank you, Bob. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you guys have done for your facility in terms of the coronavirus and how you've adapted to that. So let's start there and then we can work more into some of the other stuff that you guys have been doing. But let's start with the adaptation first.
Sure. Well, as everyone would agree, in the beginning days, a few months back or a couple months back, these were alarming times for everyone and uncertain times. And so in the beginning, we were doing all the necessary research to figure out the different shutdown measures that were in place. And very quickly, we realized that we were an essential business. So we were able to keep our doors open, which was good for us. And it really enabled us to continue supporting our customers in the critical industries that they support.
Mm-hmm.
However, it did take us a very long time, hours and days of meetings, very late nights. I remember texting my VP of operations, how we were going to handle this, what new safety protocols we were going to implement around the company. And we moved very quickly. We immediately, 25% of our workforce transitioned to remote working. We were all set up with laptops. We had cloud-based systems, a great VPN system. I got to give credit to our IT team. They set up our phone system to, forward calls to cell phones. That was all very quick and very smooth. However, the rest of our workforce, a lot of it is assembly line work, shop work, working with heavy equipment and all this, needed to be here to, support our customers. So we really had to get creative and institute new safety protocols. We were quick on our feet. We were able to implement the social distancing very quickly. We put space in between the work centers. We provided masks as soon as they were available. Remember, there was a while where masks just weren't even obtainable. We provided sanitation stations all throughout the company every day. We were wiping, surfaces down. All the doors were immediately locked in the open position around the company to avoid any, unnecessary touching. Mm-hmm. We quickly staggered our workforce, their schedules, so that smaller groups were having their breaks at the same time instead of one time, the larger group, right? So we were getting smaller group settings. We canceled all non-essential meetings. And then we also canceled any meeting of that contained greater than 4 people, right? So all of this was in a measure to just provide our team members safety, provide safety for our team members, and also to continue supporting our customers that are in the critical industries that we serve.
Yeah.
So so we went through a lot of adjustments and a lot of change during this time period.
Yeah.
And something else that I did was, again, these were scary times for many people. So I walked around every day for the first 2 weeks and talked to everyone. And just talked about what we were doing and the measures we were taking, and asked them if they could recommend anything that we do differently to make them feel more comfortable while being at work.
Yeah, I remember when we visited you guys, what was that, maybe 2 years ago? Something like that. And just like recognizing the culture that you were establishing there and making sure that everyone kind of had a voice. I thought that was a really cool part of your culture, and to hear that you like really leverage that in this instance is really speaks volumes to like the culture that you're looking to promote too.
Yeah, that is absolutely part of our culture. Again, these are team members, not employees. They're helping us move forward and progress and become a bigger, better, stronger company to support our customers. Really, that's what it amounts to. It's a community.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and then one
How
of the
it is
things,
here.
yeah. So one of the things that that I heard you guys had done, you developed a ventilator. Could you talk a little bit about this project, about this ventilator? Can you explain what's going on there?
We did. So, boy, this was like somewhere around middle to late March. Um, we were concerned with, COVID-19 and the spread of it across the world. We were watching what was happening in Italy, and it was making its way over here and the other countries. And so we knew we wanted to really help in any way we could. So we looked at making potentially face masks, shields. Also, we were also designing a dispensing system for hand sanitizers. But that quickly changed when we were approached by the local city, Huntington Beach, by an official there. His name's Milan, our contact.
Hmm.
And he asked us if we could produce ventilators. They were concerned with the potential surge in COVID-19 patients, and they told us they expected the peak to hit our community around April 18th.
Hmm.
And so we really wanted to move quickly to find a local manufacturer that could produce ventilators. Of course, my first response was no. I mean, as much as I'd love to help, I've seen those ventilators. They're very expensive. They have all these sensors built in, and in the short time frame that we had to develop this ventilator, I just didn't see it as part of our capability to get something like that done. But after multiple emails and phone calls, they eventually sent us a design that MIT had developed a few years back for third world countries, an inexpensive emergency ventilator. And so we were looking at the design, and then they also sent us a spec sheet. And after further review, I felt confident that our team could pull this off. And so my next step was to talk to the engineering team here at Blue White. And once again, we all felt and agreed that we could pull this off. And we were encouraged to think that we could and potentially help the community. So we did agree to create the ventilator, and that was a big decision that we made, but it was one that we made without a problem because we definitely wanted to do anything we could to help the community.
Hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned like the time frame certainly was a challenge. What were some other challenges beyond that in developing this and bringing it to completion? It seems like you guys had to, like I said, the timeline is pretty accelerated there. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Right. So yeah, after we agreed to help, we realized we needed to learn more. We needed to increase our knowledge. And so I remember meeting Milan out in front of our facility. It was a Friday night. It was late March, and he dropped off ambu bags, which is it's a bag that's used. What do they call it? A manual valve bag, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, it's usually a manual process to sustain life for patients that aren't breathing correctly. And our job was to automate that system, free up hands from a doctor or a nurse, somebody working in the hospital to help other patients. And this was also to be used as a temporary measure to kind of bridge the gap until a long-term ventilator was available. So anyway, I met up with Milan. It was a Friday night. He gave me the bags. I remember taking them home for the weekend because at that point, all the engineers had gone home. And I was studying the bags all weekend. I was playing with them. I was seeing how they worked and getting ideas of how we can integrate or design a product around this. And so when I got back to work, we had a meeting, and all of our engineers had done research over the weekend. It's like we were all just so enthusiastic to help, and to create this potentially life-saving device.
Hmm.
So immediately I assembled a team. We set up an area for testing, for quickly sketching and designing ideas, building ideas, and testing ideas. We created a attributes list. these are basically our targets for the specs that we need to achieve in the design. And then I just told everybody that we have to experiment as fast as possible. That's the quickest way to learn anything, is increase the rate of experimentation. And yeah, so that's exactly what we did. And so a lot of the time in the beginning was spent learning, doing research, reading documents. We consulted with professionals in the industry, ER doctors, respiratory therapists, and yeah, so really collaborating with
Yeah.
the people in the industry that have the knowledge, because we didn't have that knowledge in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting facet of this too, is that this is an area that you guys had not previously explored. So a lot of research had to go in on the front end. I imagine if it had been something different that felt more in your wheelhouse, there'd be a little less research. But could you like, does that research that you guys did, does that how does that fit into the future then too? I imagine that's given you ideas on like how you can continue to develop current products that you have and experiment with them as well, right?
Right. So it's interesting. I mean, I was very impressed the obstacles we were able to overcome during this process of designing these emergency ventilators. I remember talking to one of our engineers that was able to achieve this idea that we had, right? And what we needed to do was control the inhale exhale speed, right? So most people inhale at a different rate than they exhale. And so we were experimenting ideas with that. And then one of our engineers left and came back just hours later, already had the software working that way, and I had no idea that we had that type of capability and we could achieve something like that so quickly. So I think all of our engineers really increased their capabilities during this project. So not only was it a good project to take on to potentially help our community in a worst case scenario type of situation, but also it did help us all grow as a team,
Yeah.
definitely, and increase our capabilities.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was really fun for those engineers to like play, right?
Right, exactly. And we had a lot of fun during the process. We had a lot of struggles, but we had a lot of fun, because when you're experimenting at such a fast rate, because we had no other option, that was the
Mhm.
fastest way to learn, because you learn through failure. And when you're
Yeah.
and you need to increase that rate at which you fail to then get to your success that much quicker.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of fun during that process. It was a mashup for a while in the engineering, in the R&D space that we created for this project. Yeah.
Yeah. So why was this such an important project for you guys to do? I imagine obviously top priority is it's our community. We want to help out. What were some other reasons why you guys really felt this was important to you?
Well, we, you know, we did know that COVID was spreading rapidly through the world and making its way through the U.S. We also knew, or we heard that California was going to be another hotspot, and so we really wanted to prepare. And we were seeing these numbers, and I kept hearing the different governors talking about the ventilators. We need ventilators. We don't have enough ventilators. And really, I wanted to help. I wanted to fill that gap. And I even told our engineers, while we're designing these ventilators, I mean, I want you to design it in mind. I want you to take the position that you wouldn't mind hooking up a family member to this ventilator,
Yeah.
right? And we really need to take it to that level. And because I really wanted to help maybe save lives if we had to, if it came to that. And so really that is why we took on the project.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like
And
you
and,
have
and I
one.
felt like when I saw the oh, I'm sorry, when I saw the initial specs, I just looked at it and thought immediately, yes, we could do this. We could do this with all of our in-house raw materials and our internal machine equipment.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, it looks like you have one right there behind you. Is that the
We do.
completed product?
It is. I mean, I'll turn it on, but it sounds. Do you hear that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm adjusting the, the breath per minute. So I'm at 26 breaths per minute, 26 and a half. And so we max it out at 35 breaths per minute. But that's it, yes. That's breathing awfully fast. And
Yeah,
usually through our research, I'm going to turn it off because it is a little loud. Those are the valves working that you hear. I don't know if
yeah,
you heard the valve system.
yeah. Just like
But
that's the pressure of the air, right? That's
right. You know, I'm not used to that sound, and we have so many of them testing in our R&D department. It's a little eerie to hear all these. It sounds like somebody breathing, you know.
yeah. So, the last time that we talked, like I said, was probably at your facility in Huntington Beach. How have what's new? Like what other things have changed at the company? What have you guys been doing?
Yeah, so we've been, well, we're moving forward. As you know, we've kept our doors open. We've definitely implemented many different safety protocols, you know, following the CDC guidelines and all this. So it looks very different here at Blue White than probably when you were here last time. Most definitely. But as a whole, we're still moving forward with our projects. We're increasing the adoption rate of new technologies. Of course, we're using Zoom more often, or some of these digital conferencing methods. Um, we're building an entirely new digital manufacturing department. It's also called additive manufacturing or 3D printing manufacturing. And so we're investing quite heavily in that department. We believe in that being the future for manufacturing. So we have that moving forward. We're developing new products with new capabilities. And so what I mean by that is adding remote capabilities into these new products, especially during COVID-19. You know, people want to work remotely and they're getting more comfortable with it. So they want to check on their equipment remotely and either control their equipment or monitor their equipment. So we're introducing IoT into our equipment. We're hiring new people to help us adopt these new technologies in-house. So it's fortunate for us that we're in the situation where we're actually hiring. And so it's
Oh
pretty
wow.
good. Yeah. And so we're happy about that.
Yeah.
And
Well, one of the
and
things.
also we're launching, I'm sorry, we're launching 2 new products actually too.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we'll be launching one in June, and then we're going to launch another one in August. And so we're moving forward with that. We're not going to put it on hold.
Hmm.
So we've got a lot of things we're doing that are pretty exciting around here, even during the time of crisis.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
know that one day we're going to come out of this, and people are going to need these products, and they're going to start ramping up their businesses again, and we want to be able to provide for them.
yeah. Yeah, I look forward to seeing those new products when they release. I'll be keeping an eye on my email.
Yeah,
But
good.
one of the things that you touched on there was the Zoom interview thing. I know that one of the things that you talked a lot about was kind of like your stand-up meetings that you would have and kind of brainstorming and stuff. Have you been using Zoom then for those kinds of meetings, since those generally were like big meetings with a lot of people kind of standing around, writing on a whiteboard and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, we have, especially engineering, our software development team. All of them are working from home.
Hmm.
We have as many engineers working from home as possible. However, we need a small team here to support production and some other things that we have going on. So
Hmm.
to answer your question, yes, we are using Zoom and these video conferencing technologies, and and really this crisis has really pushed that forward so much
Hmm.
more than if anything, I see this technology being adopted at a much more rapid pace than this in the past. But now, so much more. I think we're all much more comfortable with these technologies that I do see a change in our future in the way we work at Blue White with more remote working and all of
Hmm.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, with the collaboration and the back and forth and the whiteboards, we've been able to figure that out with using these technologies. And I still prefer the face to face, but I believe these digital video conferencing tools are almost as good as the face to face. Not quite.
Yeah. They're a good stopgap. They fill in the space that we need to be filled right now, and you could use them for sure after this and get a lot of value out of them. But there is something special about a face-to-face interaction and talking to someone that like in close
Absolutely.
proximity like that. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking your time to talk with us today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I thank you for this opportunity to share our great achievement that we've done over the last month or two with the team. I also want to thank our team if they watch this video for their and helping the community and we'll get through this together.